Dear students, today we will continue with memory. As you know, memory is to store the information. Commonly everybody knows memory is to store the information. But memory is also used for another purpose. Anybody knows? Maybe the memory is used for working with the computer. That is a hidden use of memory. Memory is to work with the computer, not only to store the information. It is also used to work with the computer. Since that is, memory is also called as working area of a user. Working area of a user. To work with computer, we need memory. So in this way, there will be two uses of memory. Memory is to store the information as well as to work with the computer. So there are two types of memories. One is primary memory, and another one is secondary memory. There are two types, primary and secondary. Primary memory, as the name suggests, primary means first memory. That means when you switch on a computer, first it will take this memory. So it is called as primary memory. Secondary, okay, not commonly used, but to store the information permanently as well as to recall the information for future purpose, we need secondary memory. Okay, that means to store the information, we will use secondary memory. To store the information temporarily and to work with computer, we need primary memory. And the primary memory is classified into two types again, ROM and RAM. Read-only memory, random access memory. Read-only memory, random access memory. Read-only memory, that means we can read the information, but writing onto that memory is not possible. Even we can call this one as a permanent memory. But in ROM again there are some classifications, like maybe it may be a pure ROM, pure read-only memory, then erasable programmable read-only memory, electronically erasable programmable read-only memory. In this way there are different types in read-only memory. Okay, and in computer we will use ROM for one special purpose, and that is for post routine. Post routine. What that post routine is? Post means power on self-test. Power on self-test. Shortly we will call it as a post routine. And this post routine, when you switch on a computer, computer automatically checks all the devices are connected to computer or not. That means CPU or not. And that process we will call it as a post routine. Why it is needed? When you switch on a computer, if the monitor is not connected, for the user, working on a computer is not possible, since monitor, that means input device, output device, and the CPU makes the computer, not only the CPU or not only the monitor or keyboard. That means all three devices will make a computer, and computer automatically checks whether all the devices are connected or not, and that is by ROM. That means ROM will do that process, and that we will call it as a post routine, power on self-test. What it means? When you switch on a computer, computer checks itself. Okay, that is power on self-test. Itself means keyboard is connected to CPU or not, then monitor is connected or not, okay, mouse is connected or not, and then it will check RAM is properly working or not. As I said, the two uses of memory. Memory is to store the information and to work with the computer, and this RAM is for working purpose. And if the RAM is not correct, working on computer is not possible. That's why when we use power on self-test, first it will check all the devices are connected or not, then it will check random access memory is correct or not. Okay? And in some older machine, even when you switch on, it will start counting the numbers. And counting the numbers means it will start checking the locations of RAM. If all the locations are correct, then it loads with the other things. That means in this post routine, there are two processes. The ROM will make two processes. One is post routine and another one is it will load the operating system, that is called bootstrap routine. It will load the operating system, that means the first part. It will initiate the operating system into this RAM. That process, post routine, is with two parts. First it will check all the devices, then it checks the RAM, then it starts loading the operating system. And loading the operating system into computer is, because of this bootstrap, loading the operating system into computer is called booting process. Booting. Boot means, don't think like it is a shoes. Boot, the meaning of boot, it's a Latin word and the meaning of that boot is load. So that's why for the leg we are loading shoes, so it is called as boot. Same way here, we are loading operating system into RAM or into computer, so that loading process is called booting. And generally speaking, if there are some technical persons or computer related persons, then they will not say switch on the computer, they will say boot the system. And the boot the system in the sense load the operating system into a computer. That is the meaning. Okay? And this primary memory, like as I said, ROM, and another one is RAM, random access memory. Random access. Random means more than one access. And for the RAM, there will be commonly two types of access, maybe read or write. We are reading the information from the RAM as well as we are writing onto RAM. So that's why read or write access are there. That's why this is called random access. We can read as well as we can write onto that memory. And remember, this RAM is temporary memory, not permanent. Why they made it as temporary? RAM is costlier compared to secondary memory. RAM is costlier. Costlier in the sense, maybe to purchase 2 GB RAM, the cost may be 1000 rupees. Just 2 GB RAM cost maybe 1000 rupees, but the maybe 500 GB hard disk, the cost may be just 1500 to 2000. And comparatively we can say that RAM is costlier, just for 2 GB 1000 rupees. So they made RAM as a temporary memory. Why they made temporary? As I said, the working area of a computer is RAM. And if the working area is full, for the another user, working on that computer is not possible, since it is already full. So we can say like this way. Maybe for example, if you take playing stadium, if some people are playing in that stadium, again somebody wants to play, then it is not possible, since the stadium is already occupied by some people. If they move on, if they vacate that stadium, then another person or some other people can work in that, maybe play in that stadium. The same way in computer, when you switch on a computer, the RAM will be fresh memory. In that we can start working, and when you switch off, everything in that RAM will be erased. And when you switch on that computer again, the RAM will be fresh. Once again, the RAM will be fully vacant and in that, or full empty, and in that we can start working with the computer. So that's why they made RAM as a temporary memory. It is called erasable memory or volatile memory. Volatile memory. Volatile means temporary. Okay. Next one is secondary memory. Secondary memory is, there may be, we will use commonly FDD, floppy disk drive, hard disk drive, HDD, floppy disk drive. It is commonly called as FDD, hard disk drive, HDD, then CD, then DVD, then maybe pen drive, memory chip or memory card. All these things we will call it as a secondary memory. That means anything we are, or any device you are using to keep the information for future purpose, that we will call it as a secondary memory. And to measure this memory, we will use one unit, and that unit we will call it as a binary digit. Binary digit, and in that we will take only bit. B from binary, it from digit, bit. And this 0 and 1 combination, 0 or 1, we will call it as a bit. This type of 8 bits will make 1 byte. And 1 byte is nothing but 1 character. In computer, to store any information or any 1 character, we need 8 bytes. That means the 8 switches combination will make 1 character. For example, in computer, maybe you want to store A alphabet. Maybe you will press A from the keyboard. And when you press A from the keyboard, the computer will recognize there is A. But how it recognizes? Since there is no value for A alphabet. A is converted into one type of format called ASCII, American Standard Code for Information Interchange, that is given by Americans, ASCII code. And all the alphabets or all the keys on the keyboard are having those codes. Even those codes are called scan codes or ASCII codes. And all characters will be converted into ASCII codes. And ASCII code of A is 65. When you press A, it will take maybe 65. And then 65 will be converted into binary. Maybe 0110 is 6 and 0101 is 5. That means this switch is off. On, off, on means A. That means if this type of combination comes from the keyboard, the computer will make the assumption there is A from the keyboard. Okay? And this type of concept, so we will call it as a 1 byte of information. 1 byte means 1 character. I'll write down all those things clearly. 1 byte is equal to 1 character, and this type of 1024 bytes, why it is 1024? 2 raised to 10. There are only 2 digits. In decimal there are 10 digits, but in binary only there are 2 digits, so 2 raised to 10, that is equal to 1024. And 1024 bytes, we will call it as a 1 kilobyte, 1 KB. 1024 bytes is nearly 1000, so we will call it as a 1 kilobyte, even though there is some difference. 1 kilobyte. This type of 1024 kilobytes will make 1 megabyte. And 1024 megabytes will make 1 gigabyte. And 1024 gigabytes will make 1 terabyte, TB. And 1024 TB will make 1 petabyte. So in this way, the megabyte, gigabyte and terabyte we will use for the measurement of memory. To measure the memory, we will use megabyte, gigabyte and terabyte. So for the to measure unit, that means to measure memory, that means the unit of memory is byte. That may be megabyte, gigabyte or terabyte. Even there may be questions. Compare primary memory with secondary memory. And in notes, I have given those things. Just refer those things or those notes. By that you can find out what is the difference between primary memory and secondary memory. Thank you, students. So in the next class, we will continue with the other concepts.